what's the benefit of a Christian learning more, really diving into Yom Kippur?
Well, Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. And what atonement is the removal or the expungement of sin. And I think that because of false understanding of grace, people don't realize that the wages of sin or the cause and effect of sin is death to whatever it touches. And sin has a mindset. So if sin has a mindset and mindset determines choices, then you live with a result of those choices. And so for me personally, when I was praying before I came to the studio, I was praying and I thought, I've done a lot of deep teaching on this. Pastor Tim has done deep teaching on Yom Kippur and the two goats. One goat was for the sacrificial, and that one was sacrificed on the altar, and then the goat that is sent out into the desert and off into, it's the Azazel. It's the goat that is, the priest actually lays his hands on that goat and imparts the sin of the nation, and then it's sent out into the wilderness. So it's a place where the sin is confessed, imparted onto the goat symbolically. That's Azazel in Hebrew means scapegoat. It becomes the scapegoat, and it takes the sin away from Jerusalem out into the desert, and some say that it's pushed off a cliff, and so it can't come back. And so we've done a lot of deep teaching on that. But what I really kind of want to talk about today that I think will be very beneficial for you is understanding why once a year, this is what I do, is why do I take an inventory of my sin and the thought and mindsets that actually cause the sin. I repent and I ask for removal of that sin and removal of the mindset and the choices with it, because we're moving into Sukkot, and Sukkot basically is where you renew your covenant with God. And so I don't want to be carrying the baggage of sin and thoughts and mindsets that have sabotaged me in the past into the new year. Like, why go into the new year at Sukkot claiming all these blessings, loading up, so to say, your truck with all this stuff, knowing that you're going to drive off the cliff like in 60 days because you haven't dealt with the issue of the power of atonement. And so I really want to talk about that today, because I think it's so important. For me, I have purposely, and those that have followed me a long time, the Day of Atonement is with an understanding of this is kind of a get out of jail free card day. I mean, you can have it any day. But what happens is anytime you invest time with God, it's going to be a benefit anytime. But when you invest time in God's time, divine appointment in Hebrew, moed, like the atonement is, when you invest time focusing on what God is focused on in that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm tracking.
So this is a day, this is a time where you focus on what needs to be atoned for, so you don't have the sin mindset, so you make sinful choices and you live by those choices. And so anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today.
So some would say easier said than done, right? So what's a couple, maybe like a 1, 2, 3 punch? Someone's coming in this podcast, they're listening, they're watching. Maybe they've even found some older content on Yom Kippur and older podcasts, whatever, right? So they've dove into it, but for this episode, for this time that people are giving us as they invest their time into this episode, how can they get started? 1, 2, how can they move forward once they get started? And 3, how can they maybe collect inventory on the back end, maybe some reflection on how to readjust if maybe 1 or 2 didn't go exactly right?
Okay, so let's start let's start here. Let's start that you do nothing.
I like that. That's okay.
You don't do anything.
Okay, let's do
You
that.
ignore what I'm saying, and you ignore Yom Kippur, and you just move on with your life.
Okay.
Okay? So I will give you a biblical example, but then I'm going to give you a modern example of it because I think people will better understand it. So here's the thing. Moses had in his DNA, he was born Hebrew, he was raised Egyptian, and didn't find out till he was mature that he was actually Hebrew. So he has an identity conflict. I can totally relate to it.